Meeting to order at 5:30 p.m. We will have Pastor Chris, former pastor at City Crossing Guard Church, to come and lead us in our invocation and Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank y'all so much for inviting me to lead y'all in prayer. Let's pray. Our Heavenly Father, dear Lord, just so thankful for a beautiful day that you bestowed upon us today. And God, we pray next week as we celebrate 4th of July here in Lynn Haven, God, we pray that you just bless all the folks that work so hard in putting the parade and the fireworks and all the doings. And God, I pray that you'll bless each employee in a mighty way, the volunteers to help in the 4th of July. God, we live in the best country in the entire world. And God, we're so thankful to call the United States of America home. And God, tonight as the city conducts its business, God, we ask that you be with the mayor and the commissioners and the city manager. And God, we pray that you give them wisdom from on high in whatever decisions that they have to make, God. And we pray that they'll seek your guidance and wisdom, God. All wisdom comes from you. And God, we're just so thankful to be here tonight. And God, we ask all these things in your precious name. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, since the mayor is here, no need to have a motion to excuse me. All right, moving on to public commentary. We have Christy McElroy for public commentary, number 4.
Good evening, Lynn Haven Commission. I watched the pre-meeting, and to say I was horrified is an understatement. Horrified that there was such a betrayal to a fellow commissioner. Horrified to see the way he was treated and spoken to. I was also sad for him, but I respected his honor in sticking by what he believes. We should all do that and never be stifled or intimidated into any other thing. This is America. It's not a banana republic. Thought I could be horrified enough until I was just handed resolution number 2024-06433 concerning a resolution talking about Commissioner Warwick. This stuff just is hogwash. It's not true. I've been to most of your commission meetings. I've seen how things played out. That man wanted to have a finance committee because he wanted to know what the finances were for Lynn Haven. Because everyone was being told it was like $19 million. It's over $50 million. And he fought like a lion to make sure that there was a finance committee so that the taxpayers would know. Now, spiritual bypassing is nefarious. It's also narcissistic. If you want to act like Scarlett O'Hara, then get yourself to Los Angeles and go to Hollywood. But spiritual bypassing, the amount that I've seen in these meetings since you took over, Mayor, is beyond comprehension. That man deserves respect and to be treated as an equal. He isn't subservient to you. And any of you that are afraid to do the right thing because of Ricky Ramey or the city manager, You need to step up and do the right thing for the taxpayers and quit trying to protect yourselves.
I ask that you would hold your applause, please. All right, Judy Tinder. All right. I ask that you would hold your applause, or we will bypass public commentary and go on to the next agenda item. Thank you. Mr. Ryan, I said, please hold your applause, or we will bypass this agenda item and move on to the next one. Part of our rules for decorum say there's no applause. All right. So, Mr. Scray, item number 4.
Thank you for the introduction, and I appreciate seeing you back here. I know you're out of town for a little bit there. I just want to address, obviously, the 2 items that were removed from the agenda. I did listen to the entire meeting. I want to give some kudos out to both mayor and commissioner for agreeing to remove your items, particularly the mayor, because as I emailed you and said, I don't think that it was appropriate to even have that item up there. It was retaliatory. You made accusations that were not backed up by evidence. Kudos to Commissioner Peebles for calling you out on that. You did not have evidence of harassment. You did not have evidence of anything other than interrogation. And by process, interrogation is simply questioning. I can interrogate you right now. Did the city attorney type up that resolution for you? That's an interrogation. So there's that. Beyond that, I also want to address something I've brought up multiple times before. Every one of you is an individual. You are a member of this community. You are not defined by your position. You are not defined by being a mayor. You are not defined by being a commissioner, a city manager, or a city attorney. That's just a position that you do. So your personal legacy is that who you are as a person. Don't confuse that with you being up here. You're not defined by your job. We work to live, not live to work. If you're up here to create a legacy for yourself, you should probably question why you're up here. Each and every one of you. Because it's not about what you do professionally. You're here to serve all of us. Just do that. You're not here to make a name for yourself or fulfill any kind of goal other than doing what's best for the community. And finally, I just want to say, Commissioner Warwick, you may feel like you've failed yourself, but you've not failed the community. It is never a failure when you stand up for what you believe is right. That's all that matters. Please do not applaud. There are other people that will need to speak after me. You are not a failure if you stand up for what you believe in. And that's not just for Commissioner Warwick. That's for everybody in this room, everybody in this community. Always stand up for what you believe in. Just don't get so lost in it that you forget all the other things going on. The city's got a lot more stuff going on that we need to focus on. We got a sewer and water plant that needs work. I see that on the agenda. We're making progress there. The ULDC, have you guys been reviewing that? It's been a while. I haven't seen that agenda item again. We've got a lot more work to do. All I ask is you guys are up here, get to it, please.
Thank you. Vicki Williams.
Good evening. Vicki Williams, Lynn Haven. I've watched every single meeting since I've moved here 6 years. I've attended several. And this, Mr. Ramey, is heavy on my heart that he is in charge of the policemen of this city. And I have an example that he is still going around Lynn Haven doing exactly as he pleases. He recently parked his red truck with the boat trailer down by the bridge on private property without permission. Property owner drove up and wouldn't know why he was there. And he said he believed that he knew who owned that property. Well, it's been sold. So he was there trespassing. So the property owner asked him to leave, and he backs up over the water meter cover. It is destroyed and makes a loud sound, cracking sound in the whole neighborhood. A lot of people heard it in the neighborhood. He jumped out of the truck and he assured the owner that he would have it replaced the next day. Well, I called the utility department and that cover cost $70 after I talked to 3 people. I want to know if he paid the $70 or did he direct somebody to go down there and put the cover on there. Because I don't trust him. People in this town don't trust him, and he doesn't have integrity, and he doesn't have good judgment. And this is another example of it. This is going to keep on happening until something's done about it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Jerry Parker.
Good evening, Council, Mayor. Since 2023, we, the citizens of Lynn Haven, have been burdened with the knowledge of our city's police chief's unacceptable conduct. On December 30th, 2023, he was involved in a hit-and-run incident, providing a blatant disregard for the laws he himself is entrusted to uphold. Despite this, he remains employed, still drawing from the city's payroll. I have started a petition on change.org. It is an outcry for justice against the violation of the police chief's code of conduct. It is a plea for accountability, transparency, and the upholding of the ethical principles that govern law enforcement and city officials. In 2018, the Pew Research Center found that 80% of U.S. adults felt that public officials face very little or some consequences for misconduct. We cannot let our city feed this disheartening statistic. We call on local government and the Florida Department of Law Enforcement to hold the police chief accountable for his devastating incident and other potential past actions that violate his code of conduct. We insist on a thorough investigation and appropriate disciplinary steps as determined by the outcome. Lynn Haven deserves better. We cannot allow individuals who blatantly disregard the law to hold positions of power, sending the wrong message to our community and the nation at large. We demand change now. When you try to shield bad behavior, it makes you, the commission, look weak. I also want to read some comments that people gave for reasons for signing this petition. If this were any other person, there would be a reason to have a petition. There wouldn't be a reason to have a petition, and they would be fired the next day. We cannot let this stand. How are our children supposed to learn to be accountable for their actions if grown adults in authority statuses won't take accountability for their own? Those holding public office should be held accountable along with the public officials who aren't holding them accountable. Law enforcement personnel are not exempt from the laws regular citizens have to follow. Accountability from the top down is necessary for public trust. Being a small town doesn't exempt an officer of the law from answering to the citizens that, in this case, he answers to. Justice should be blind. The same laws must be applied equally to all. Ramey has a long history of unethical behavior that has brought shame on the city. He needs to go. Bay County deserves law-abiding law enforcement. The last one, the actions of Chief Ramey and other corrupt officials in Lynn Haven and Bay County forever changed my life.
Thank you.
I still have time. And have caused irreparable
there's
damage
somebody's
to me
clock
and
out
to my
there.
family. Somebody else's? I mean, I still have time.
It was someone else's clock. You can continue.
So the majority of these people that made these comments, I have no idea who they are. I've never spoke to them. Several of them I have. These are the citizens of Lynn Haven that want change. You need, like I said before, you need to look deep within your soul. This is not something we need to continue with. How long are y'all going to continue with this? How long are you going to continue this stain? It's a stain on our city. Thank you.
Thank you. Rich Walker.
Good evening. Hope you have a nice evening. It's going to be long. I don't want to issue anything and take you back to Government 101 in high school. What you've just done is atrocious. It's a slap in the face to the people. It's a slap in the face to one of your commissioners. It's not right. This man, your commissioner, duly elected. Oh, yes, you're elected to help us. You're not elected, as the person said, to further your career and enhance yourself. What happened there is he tried to do something. He asked you how to do it. You told him how to do it. He did it that way, and then you censor him. That's not right. The person that wrote this, we don't know who wrote it, but it is a resolution. His request was to discuss a subject. And when it was brought up, two of the other commissioners slapped him on the wrist. Like grandma and grandpa slapping their children, telling them they did something wrong, and they weren't going to back him. That's interesting. His was not a resolution. This is a resolution attested to by the city manager and attested to by the mayor, if approved. He did the rules right. He brought it to you and asked you for help and asked the citizens to take a look at this. You should have allowed the citizens to take a look at it and discuss it like grown people. Instead of that, you shriveled, cringed, hid behind something, and browbeat them, both of them, into withdrawing their comments. That is incorrect. You work for us. We are the citizens. We are the top tier of the government. It goes next to you. It does not go to the city manager. We did not elect the city manager. I have to address you. I can't address her. Learn a lesson. People are in charge of the government, not the city manager, not the commissioners. They are supposed to honor a request from a commissioner legally made to discuss a subject. Shame on you.
All right, thank you. Lois Rita Miller, public commentary.
Good evening. I just want to say that I think that it is pretty ridiculous that we have to continue to rehash the same thing over and over and over. And I think that there are more important things to be done, and I would like to see you focus on that. And I'm going to trust the process, because that's what I'm supposed to do as a citizen. I'm going to trust the process that each of you are working with the attorney to make sure that things are being handled. And I just don't like the unnecessary bitterness.
Thank you. Michelle Bashir.
Michelle Bashir's 811 Louisiana Avenue. I too am tired of the focus on the situation with Ricky Ramey. I wish that the process too would work out and that the right thing will be done when it's the right time. I just raised some. Anyway, Mr. Chief Ramey extended a courtesy to my family in a very difficult time, and I would like to publicly acknowledge him and thank him for that. As far as the controversy of his conduct last December, I would ask that you, who support Donald Trump, would extend the same courtesy to the city manager, the mayor, and Ricky Ramey, the rest of the commission, and the city attorney. Donald Trump's behavior is deplorable and criminal, and still you support him. Thank you.
Julie Payne.
Evening.
Yes.
Commentary, I do not support Donald Trump, not one single bit. Commissioner Warwick, I want you to know that the citizens, many, many people that I know of support you and thank you and know you tried the good fight, and you should be proud of yourself. Your family's proud of you. We're proud of you. We understand. This is not worth it for the family situation, the life. Apparently, I've tried reaching to the other commissioners, and everything always fell on deaf ears. Okay, everything fell on deaf ears. Wait for the process. I don't trust the process. It's proven to us time and again that if someone in my shoes were to do that, I would immediately have been. So the process, I don't believe in it, and the reason we're not letting it go is because obviously enough of us feel that you all are not doing the right thing. And that's it. I love our little town, and I wish that I had more respect for the entire board that I had hoped for, the people that we did elect and some that we didn't elect, but that are here and serving us. Thank you, Jamie. Thank you all.
All right, thank you. Jody Moore.
First, I want to say I was here in the room and saw the way that Jamie Warwick was treated, and it was appalling. I didn't appreciate the way he was treated at all. I thought he was being browbeaten, and I didn't like that. I just want to point out that if Chief Ramey had any integrity, he would just go ahead and resign instead of putting the city through this, but apparently he wants to stick with this. As Jamie has pointed out, this is a pattern of behavior. This isn't just a one-time incident. I'm going to read something I posted on the Beacon of Bow County page. I know none of y'all read social media, but thousands of other people do, and I'm going to read this to you. Okay. Some on the commission want to act like they are clueless as to Ramey's past misdeeds, but I'll spell it out. Number one, election interference. 3 years ago, when Ellen Fields and Jesse Nelson were running for office, Ramey's personal Facebook post and then statement to WMBB about Ellen violated employee policy, and I made the case at the time, state statute regarding election interference. Number two, published text messages reveal that Ramey has fixed tickets for several friends and associates. That was given to you in a packet by me. Number three, Ramey sent disgusting, homophobic, and misogynistic text messages to then city manager Michael White, and for that he got a, quote, letter in his personnel file from Vicki Gaynor. So that was admitted. Slap on the wrist. Text messages reveal Ramey gave or sold a gun to city manager Michael White a few days after White made comments that could be interpreted as suicidal. Was that good judgment? Text messages revealed that Ramey set up, quote unquote, a woman to be arrested at the behest of his friend Michael White. Under Ramey, LHPD also had other people falsely arrested because the charges were dropped, to include Ashley Finch and Monty Odom. Furthermore, as Warwick has pointed out, even though Ramey has upcoming court dates in his hit and run case, he paid civil citations, which seem to me are admissions that he knew he was at fault. There is no need to wait any further to make a decision regarding Ramey's employment. So I don't know about this medical issue that he has, but you know what? He never claimed a medical problem on any of the other things that he's done. I urge this commission to make the right decision. Just keeps dragging on, and this doesn't need to happen. This is putting the city through a whole lot. I think you need to make a right choice. You say that you're afraid of a lawsuit. Well, you know, there's plenty of other lawsuits on the city right now, and other people that have been fired. You know, I don't think Ramey's got a case if he files a lawsuit. I urge you to make the right choice for the city. Thank you.
Thank you. George Hines.
Good evening, Commissioner, Mayor, citizens. Lynn Haven is a city with about 122,000 people in it. So Mr. Warren don't represent everybody. I don't know who you're representing. He's talking about all these paperwork they have that they take around to their friends to get them to sign and everything. I haven't seen them because they haven't been to my house. They don't come to my neighborhood. So you're here to represent every citizen in Lynn Haven, not just this 10 or 20% that comes and complain about everything. Each one of you commissioners was elected, true. But everybody in the room didn't vote for either one of you. You got some, he got some, she got some, whatever, however it went out. We have citizens complaining about wanting to see things done. But they say they're Christians and they read the Bible. But in the Bible, it tells you that God is the only person that takes care of all vengeance. But everybody here got vengeance against Ricky Ramey. I don't know why. I don't read all the stuff that they find on Facebook or wherever they find this stuff from. I go by what I've seen. He haven't done anything terribly wrong that I know of. And I don't want to know of all these secrets they got to talk about all the time around here. So I'd appreciate it if y'all work for all the citizens and not just a small clump of citizens. Thank you.
Thank you. Tony Bostic.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Commissioner. Let's call this what this really is. This is not a Warwick issue. This is not a Ramey issue. This is a long-standing issue that has to deal and goes directly to the city manager, Ms. Vicki Gaynor, and the mayor, Mr. Jesse Nelson. You could fire Ricky Ramey right now if you wanted to or if you had to. And tomorrow morning, the same people that's sitting back there that's so patriotic, they will find a new reason to come at you. And Mr. Ward, don't be so eager to be recognized to not understand that you're being played for a fool. This ain't got nothing to do with, these people here could care whether you felt bad last week when this thing unfolded here at the commission or week before last. These are the same people that had issues with everything the city commission did before you took that seat. These are the same people that had issues with everything Vicki Gaynor and Jesse Nelson has done since they've sat in those seats. It ain't got nothing to do with you. Don't fall for the old okie doke. The Miami Shuffle is the oldest game in the book. Be careful. Because just like they backing you right now, first time you do something that they don't go by their little playbook, guess who'll be on the chopping block? You. Talking about things that are horrified and nefarious. It's nefarious how the same people, as one speaker just spoke about, that support Donald Trump can't see anything good that you guys are doing. Mr. Paterno been here for a hot minute. Mr. Peoples new to the space. But you guys got to recognize that under the leadership you have, and through your own leadership as commissioners, Lynn Haven sits pretty good among the municipalities in Bay County, as far as debt ratio goes, as far as projects, as far as new building construction. You guys are going, y'all are leading the way, but you let a few. See, one bad apple will ruin a whole barrel of apples. And you guys let a few bad apples out here ruin all the things you're working to do. Don't be that gullible. And if you need to tell them to sit down and shut up, do it. What they gonna do? Beat you? I doubt it. But quit letting these same people, these same individuals. You got rid of one individual off the commission that was always had something going on. Is it now a policy in Lynn Haven that you must have at least one? Quit letting these people tear up what you're doing. After a while, you won't have anybody in the city that believes in anybody. And that's crazy just because of a few bad apples. Ms. Gaynor, keep your head up, keep smiling. Keep wearing pink, by the way. Mayor Nelson, keep doing what you're doing. Mr. Ward, check yourself. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right, thank you. All right, moving on to our commissioners' reports. Since I'm not on the agenda, I'll reserve mine for the end. Commissioner Peoples.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I want to thank everyone for showing up. It's great to see everyone out here. I appreciate everyone that gets involved with the local politics. So thank you, everyone, for showing up. And thank you for all the emails, phone calls, text messages about whatever it is you sent them to me about. I truly do appreciate that. It helps me get insight of what's important and be able to explain stuff if you have questions. So I really appreciate that. I just wanted to say, Ms. Parker, you know, I'm a data guy. I like collecting data statistics. So whenever that petition, whenever you feel like it's ready for presentation, please present it to either me or someone so I can read it. And then I just wanted to mention that I had a coffee meetup at Wild Root. So I'm going to keep doing that. I always love being able to sit down and have some coffee. Any chance I get to have coffee, I'm going to have it. But it's nice to also talk to citizens or whoever's there when I'm having coffee. With that, that's all I have. I just want to say thanks to the staff that took care of a lot of things. There's a lot of people that had questions about, you know, little things here and there, and the staff got it taken care of within the day. So really want to say thank you for all of you that went out of your way to make things happen. And I want everyone to know that when you're talking, just because I don't have a response right away, I am listening to you. So please continue to talk to me, dialogue with me. That's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you. Commissioner Perno.
Thank you, Mayor. I have just want to say thank you to everybody in the room for coming out and giving us your opinions and how you feel. I'd like to thank all the city employees for what they're about to embark on for all the work that's going to take place for our parade and our 4th of July festivities. I do have two meetings tomorrow at 1 o'clock at FSU. I'll have the policy board meeting for the St. Joe Bay, St. Andrew Bay Estuary program. And then at 3:30 will be the TPO meeting at the Bay Transportation. That'll be our June meeting, and we'll also be voting on the 5-year work plan. So, and with that, I'll just be brief because I know we're taking up some time tonight, and thank everybody. So,
Commissioner Ward.
Yes. So. It would have been so much easier for me just not to say anything and sit back. So why do I do it? I just want the residents to know why I'm doing this. I'm not wired. I'm wired a certain way. The reason I'm wired the way I am is because my family brought me up with good ethical and moral values. When I went in the Air Force, it just strengthened those ethical and moral values. And when I ran for office, just like any candidate or most candidates do, they normally come up with a flyer or something it has their top priorities. Normally they give their 3 to 5 top priorities, and this was mine. And has a picture of my family, and on the back it has my top 3 priorities. And one of them, and I refer to this time to time to try to remind myself why I ran for office. And one of them was to restore trust, and it talks about integrity in there. I have nothing against Chief Ramey. In fact, I think he is a good guy. I think there's a lot of things being said about him that are absolutely false. But he does have a history, and that's why I'm making a big deal about this, because I feel that position deserves to have someone with high ethical and moral values. And as it was discussed at the pre-commission meeting, Ms. Gaynor, the city manager, stated she's doing what she's doing based on what the commission has told her to do. So it's really not a whole lot more I can do about it. The only thing, I mean, I thought about what I was going to say tonight. I could try to come up with all these different phrases and words and all that, but really what's going to make a difference is the public. Because if you have 3 commissioners that feel this way, that's the only way it's going to change it. Yes, after Friday, I felt pretty defeated. I was disappointed in myself. And I know I'm not perfect. I wish I could sit here and say my career in the military was 100% stellar. It wasn't. I did a lot of great things. Don't get me wrong. I love the Air Force. I still love the Air Force. And I have a lot of things to be proud of that I did. But there are times that I stepped out of line. And you know what happened? I was held accountable for that. And I feel like the same thing should happen to Chief Ramey. So I'll just leave it at that. And the last thing I'll say is I've had, ever since probably around Friday afternoon, Friday evening, I had an outpour of emails, phone calls, text messages, Facebook messages, and I've had people come up to me and thank me. And you have no idea what that means to me. There was a point there where I was like, why am I doing this? And you helped me with that. Thank you.
Commissioner Vandegrift.
I also have ethical values and moral values. I mean, we're not staying around for the important part of the meeting. But I am conservative. And I don't rush to crucify. I was not out to crucify or humiliate Mr. Warwick on Friday. I simply asked he and the mayor to withdraw the item that they had on the agenda. I felt it served no purpose to benefit the city. I still feel that way. Mr. Warwick talks about he sticks by his convictions. Well, I hope that you can trust that I stick by mine. I mean, so far tonight, we've been called that we cringe, we hide from the right thing, we're afraid, we're only out to establishing a legacy for ourselves. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I've already established my legacy. I don't need this job to establish a legacy. I don't need this job. I want to do it because I love Lynn Haven and I want to do what's right. But I'm not going to be rushed and I'm not going to be bullied. So if you feel that I unjustly treated Mr. Warwick, I'm sorry. I don't feel I did. I respect him. I learn from him at every meeting. I told him that. What he brings to the meetings are very valuable. I'm sorry if I'm embarrassing, but he is. And I just wish the people would trust us a little bit more. And we're going on the advice of the attorneys, like I've said many, many times before. And I'm sorry that you don't agree with it. Mayor.
Thank you. To address, yes, some of what was in public commentary, City Manager, when you stepped out for the time clock, we did have a citizen to ask about water meter that was destroyed, whether or not Chief Ramey paid for it or if the City of Lynn Haven replaced it. Not sure of the address, not sure of any of that, but that was a question a citizen asked during public commentary. Ms. Christy McElroy left, but let's correct the record in regards to the Finance Committee, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm not. It wasn't Commissioner Ward that proposed it, it was actually the mayor that proposed the Finance Committee. So go check the record. Y'all like to check records. Go look through all the minutes. You'll actually see that the mayor proposed the Finance Committee, the Charter Review Committee, as well as the update to the Infrastructure Committee. So those are actually proposed by the mayor. So go check the record on that and then come back and tell us the truth about what you found in that record. That's number one. Number two, in regards to no evidence in addressing Commissioner Peebles, I would encourage you to go look at some of the previous meetings before you came, and look at some of those things, and that'll bring to light some of the statements that were made in the censure. It's interesting that everyone can use their freedom of speech but me. That's very interesting, that I'm called retaliating whenever I decide to exercise my rights. I don't know why that's the case. I don't want to think it's because I'm Black. I don't think that's the case. I just think we have a misunderstanding of a double standard. No, I don't think it's because I'm Black. I very much am very proud to be the mayor of Lynn Haven and actually brag to people that we're one of the most diverse and racially advanced cities in Bay County. Whether or not you know the stats, 85% of Lynn Haven is white, 10% is Black, 5% is mixed with Asian, Native American, and other nationalities. And so for us to have a Black mayor is a huge thing in Northwest Florida. It's huge. And so I don't think it's because of that. However, our community does, so we gotta be careful with that. But I think it's always weird that whenever I decide to exercise my rights, that I'm saying I'm retaliating or my rights and my freedom of speech is always called into question. I just don't understand that. It was said that we were elected to help us. Mr. Walker said that. Friday, Commissioner Ward said that he wanted the truth to come out. And I guess, Commissioner Ward, this is a question in regards to ethics and values. On October 27, 2017, because we're talking about, past things, you made a Facebook post that appalled me, and I saw it years ago, and it offended me too as an African American. You said, "I can't believe they're going to invite this POS to a meeting between players and owners." That was referring to Colin Kaepernick. Did you remember posting it, Commissioner Ward?
Are we really going to go there?
We're talking about, wait. We're talking about ethics and values and integrity and past actions. I'm just asking, did you make that post? We're saying we want the truth to come out.
Yeah, I did remember making a post about Colin Kaepernick. I don't remember exactly what I said.
So October 27, 2017, that's evidence, that's record. Also, this is what y'all want, right? Wait. This is how y'all want us to act in our meetings. You are absolutely correct. Hey. Also, when we say that this isn't personal with Ricky Ramey, we can't live by double standards. We can't live by double standards. Can't live by double standards. We can't live by double standards. We can't call out one person and then think that's an applause and then call out somebody else and then everybody gets upset about it. We can't, no man, we're not talking back. We just can't have a double standard. So if we're going to bring out ethics and morals and values, we have to talk about it all. We say this isn't personal with Ricky Ramey. Listen, we say this isn't personal. Again, watch this now. Now that I've said something, everybody came up and applauded Commissioner Ward for calling out Ricky Ramey on his ethics and values, but now I'm getting challenged. That's what I'm talking about, a double standard. Also, if we're talking about this isn't personal with Ricky Ramey or with city manager, in the election of 2021, there was a tent set up outside that had Rich Walker, Judy Tender, Commissioner Ward, Ellen Fields, Jerry Parker, and Jody Moore. Now, they're going to deny this, but they're lying when they do, that Mr. Walker led the conversation on how they were going to come into office, dismantle the police department, fire Ricky Ramey, hire a city clerk, fire city manager, and then put that person in place. Now, you may forgot about it, but you said it. And so we say this, again, I told you you're going to deny it. So if you deny it, you're lying. And so
I deny it. I deny it. I deny it.
You're lying. And so what happens is, this is the truth coming out. This is the truth coming out. We didn't want the truth to come out. So this is the truth coming out. This is the truth coming out. We all want the truth, right? So this is the truth coming out. So you can be upset, you can be mad, but here's the thing. You all want to come up here to the podium and throw stones, throw swords, throw all of that, and just want me to sit here and say nothing. Don't want my wife to come here and say anything, as if my kids don't get offended, as if it doesn't bother us. You can record it, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. However, whenever the truth comes back, now we're hurt, we're upset, we're mad, we're angry, we're embittered. We can't live by a double standard. I have my freedom of speech just like you have your freedom of speech. And so we should all be able to, you want me to listen to you, and you want us to not, interrupt you. You want us to make sure that we're engaging with you. But then when we have our freedom of speech, it's the same way. All right. So the thing is that we can't have a double standard in the city of Lynn Haven. All right. What did I say? What's good for the goose is good for the gander? Is that something like that? Is that some kind of statement? All right. So let's just be mindful that when we're throwing stones, that we don't live in a glass house. And that's for me too. That's for me too. That's for me too. So that is my report. Moving on to the city manager's report. We did. Yeah. I'm not the previous mayor. So, no, I wasn't on trial in Tallahassee or didn't get arrested by the police. Don't have a felony charge. Don't have any of that. So, no, I'm not the previous mayor. I'm actually a handsome guy. So, I'm not the previous mayor at all. So, we're trying to move on with our meeting, but I can do this all night. I came off vacation for this. So, I can go on all night with this. I should have, yeah. Excuse me, ma'am. We're not talking back from the audience. Excuse me. I didn't say anybody was racist. What I'm saying is exactly, this is what I'm saying and proving my point. Whenever I say something, there's always something wrong with what I'm saying. You're proving my point exactly. Why are you still talking then, sir? Why are you still talking? You all are interrupting the meeting. We had moved on. You all interrupted the meeting. I could ask for point of order, or I could ask for Sergeant at Arms to remove you, but I'm not, because we were ready to move on, and then you all start speaking from the audience. I didn't start addressing you. You all started addressing me. I did not start addressing you. Here we go again. I did not do that, ma'am. I'm not turning tables on everybody. Did I say anyone was a racist? Did I insinuate anyone was a racist? What I'm insinuating, and hopefully, here's the problem, people don't understand. What I'm saying is exactly, you're proving my point. What I said was, anytime I say something, my freedom of speech is always infringed upon. I hope it's not because I'm black, but whenever I say something, my freedom of speech is infringed upon. I made my points. Now you all have retaliated against what I've said. That's a violation of my freedom of speech. So if you stop talking, we will. You're doing it now. So, city manager report.
Kiki.
Good evening. Questions about the warrant list? Thank you.
Thank you. Just a couple of things for July 4th that all residents should know. The details. On July 4th, we're going to start a parade at 8:45 that comes down 5th Street. Those folks on 5th Street usually will sit out and have a parade there themselves. And we love that. But we just want to let you know that all of City of Lynn Haven will just about be locked down because there's so many floats. We have over 80 floats. We have a flyover that's going to happen at 9:15. And so we're asking that you probably be in place where you want to be or need to be by 8:45 on 5th Street, by 9 o'clock on Highway 77. It's really important because many of the roads will be closed. We'll post a map of the closed roads and where we are, where all of the folks will be lining up. Probably about Monday or Tuesday, we will do that. And so I just want to make sure that people understand it is going to be very crowded that morning, and then it's going to be very crowded that night. At 6 o'clock, we have a concert, and then at 7:30, of course, Dina Carter comes in. We probably anticipate a lot of people that will be at this event. We have changed the way people will be sitting because a lot of the residents came to actually watch the fireworks and would say, you know, by the water, we had so many trucks and cars lined up. That's going to be seating only. So there will not be any leeway to allow cars to come into the farthest part of Kennesaw where the water is. That is seating for people who actually want to watch the fireworks. And we're probably going to cut off some of those roads fairly quickly. So please let your friends know. Don't go and park your car early to get a great seat or truck early by the water because you will not be able to do that. We want more people to be able to see what's going on and see the fireworks. And we will put this out again. Our teams will travel Dizzy Dean World Series Wednesday, June 25th, and we wish them luck. We have 2 8U teams, we have 2 10U teams, 1 12U teams, 1 14U teams. And so all of those are traveling to the World Series and may win. They came back last year, they did really well. So I want to make sure that they get the props that they needed. Or that they need. We are flushing out the fire hydrants. And so you may see people at night doing that. You may see your water turn a little brown. When we flush out all of those hydrants, we have over 1,000 hydrants. And we want to make sure that people understand you may see a little brown in your water just for a little bit. But that's exactly what we'll be doing. Lastly, people, we have got to learn how to be kind and love each other. We have got to learn how to be kind. You can put your head over your face, you can say whatever you want to, but I'm telling you, kindness goes a long way. We are not going to agree about everything. This is America. We can do that. We have rights to do that. But we don't have to treat each other like trash. And I will be very honest with you. I sit here, I love this city. I would do anything for this city. But I sit here almost every commission meeting. I've been bashed for 6 years, y'all. You have not heard anything in terms of me doing anything wrong but running a city. I have been bashed so bad. People come up to me all the time, and I will tell you, I get texts from people said, the majority is behind you. That's one of the reasons I keep doing this job, because the majority is behind me. So I'm telling you, be kind. Let the process play out. We should not be divided over this, but we are. And if you really want to know the truth, a lot of Lynn Haven citizens, yes, we disagree, but there are pot stirrers that are stirring you to get upset about something will happen. But I'm just asking you to be kind and stop with the horrible social media posts. Stop with calling people out of their names. Stop with that. It's time out for that. Horrible. We don't have to do that. We live in a great country. Let's be kind and love each other, please. Thank you so much.
All right, City Attorney.
No report.
All right, moving on to our consent agenda. Approval of minutes for 6/11/24, regular meeting minutes, approval to appoint Joe Brown to the Infrastructure Surtax Oversight Committee, and approval of the 1911 Plat Residential Paint Program application for the residents located at 1505 Main Avenue. Is there a motion for this?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, City Manager, if you call the vote.
Commissioner Perdo?
Yes.
Commissioner Vandegrift?
Yes.
Commissioner Peebles?
Yes.
Commissioner Warwick?
Yes. And yes. All right, motion passed. Discussion and possible approval. Moving on to agenda item number 11, discussion and possible approval of resolution 2024-05429, fee schedule update. Director of Planning and Development. And we did discuss this on Friday. Are there any additional questions for Ms. Amanda? There's no additional questions. Is there a motion to accept this?
Motion to accept.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, motion by Commissioner Perno, second by Commissioner Vandegrift. Is there comments from the public? All right, City Manager, you call the vote.
Yes, I'll read the resolution first. Resolution of the City of Lynn Haven, Florida, amending chapters 2, 3, 30, 42, 54, 70, and 86 of the fee schedule and Appendix A of the Lynn Haven Code of Ordinances and providing for an effective date. Commissioner Perno?
Have to do it again because the resolution wasn't read before we made the motion.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Commissioner Vandegrift?
Yes.
Commissioner Peebles?
Yes.
Commissioner Warwick?
Yes. All right. And discussion, motion passed. Discussion and possible approval of resolution 2024-06431 to amend the mid-year budget 2023-2024. Director of Finance.
Good evening. As we discussed last Friday, when last I brought the budget to you, I only had a few days to review. There were certain areas of concern that Mrs. Gaynor and I discussed. We've made some adjustments. There's about a little bit more than $1 million in this budget since last I brought it to you. The primary focus, or the primary amount of money, has to do with the sewer department. There was $782,000 to empty the pond and purchase the liner. Would you like me to go through the budget, or do you have questions?
I have a question. So on page 62, which is kind of like the overview of the totals, I just wanted to ask questions to kind of help me understand it. So at the top in the resolution, or in the top of the description of it, it says that the impact to the city is 1.3 million. And then at the bottom, when it shows the approved fiscal year budget of 2024, it shows about $64 million. And then the revised proposed mid-year, it shows 64,461.
64.4, yes.
Yeah, sorry, I said that backwards. So the difference there is only about 450,000. So I just want to, I'm assuming I'm reading that wrong. So could you?
So what happened was when the mid-year budget that I brought you a month ago or so, whenever it was, it actually had decreased from the original 64.
Okay, yep, got it.
Any other questions?
Additional questions? And just clarity for the public, the major change is what you mentioned in regards to the lining or the purchase for them.
The sewer department, yes.
And would you restate that amount again for the public?
For the sewer department, to empty the pond, the labor to empty the pond, and the liner combined, $782,000, which was not originally budgeted.
Okay, thank you. So that's our major amendment for this mid-year budget
Correct,
correction.
yes.
Okay. All right, any additional questions? All right, is there a motion for this?
Motion to amend the mid-year budget.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right. Is there comments from the public? No comments. City manager, if you call the vote.
Before I call the vote, a resolution of the City of Lynn Haven, Florida, amending the final budget for the fiscal year 2023-2024 and providing for effective date. Commissioner Parno?
Yes.
Commissioner Peebles?
Yes.
Commissioner Vandegrift?
Yes.
Commissioner Ward?
Yes.
Mayor Nelson?
Yes, motion passed. Number 13, discussion and possible approval to award the contract for construction of Kane Griffin additional parking to 850 Construction Services, LLC, in the amount of $399,104.74.
Yes, sir. Did you have any more questions we discussed Friday?
All right, no additional questions. Is there a motion for this?
Motion to approve 850 Construction Services in the amount of $399,104.74.
I second.
Is there comments from the public? All right, city manager, if you call the vote.
Commissioner Parno?
Yes.
Commissioner Vandegrift?
Yes.
Commissioner Peebles?
Yes.
Commissioner Ward?
Yes.
Mayor Nelson?
Yes, motion passed. Number 14, discussion and possible approval to award the contract for the construction of the stormwater improvements and paving of the senior center parking area to American Sand and Asphalt in the amount of $757,965.
Yes, this is for the improvements to the stormwater pond at Sheffield Park and the paving for the senior center.
Are there any additional questions for Mr. Baker?
So with the way this is set up, I know there have been concerns in the past when we have events at Kane Griffin. I'm sorry, this is Sheffield Park, you know, kids crossing and that. With this new plan, would we be able to utilize the parking lots and still block off the road, like when we have the concerts and stuff like that?
Nothing will really change except for the paving of the senior center parking lot and the stormwater pond being increased. It'll be enlarged to incorporate future parking, which is permitted for. It's just having to get the funding to do the rest of it.
Okay, thank you.
And Bobby, just to be sure, and I just want you to state it publicly, that enlarging of the pond, it will be fenced off and safe for people not to get in there?
So it's
or
not
be open?
It's not required to be fenced. Now, if you would like it fenced, we can do that, but it's
I
not
just
required.
want to be sure that, because it's going to go up to the sidewalk and it's going to be a lot bigger pond, right?
It'll be bigger, but it's going to have that slope that allows it to not be fenced.
Okay.
It's like the southern end of it. No, it's not fenced either.
It's a lot smaller.
Yeah, it's just going to be wider on this end and longer.
Is it going to take up most of that parking?
Just about all of it, yes. The parking will be gone, that gravel lot.
Is there any way we can make parking out of that grassy area?
Well, if you looked on the plans I gave you, that is potential future parking.
Potential.
Yes, and the stormwater is permitted to do that and pave that big open area. And it's just a matter of getting future funding to finish it. So if we build the pond, the permit is still good for 4 more years to build the parking lot.
So we're going to have a parking problem whenever we have like the concerts for a little while. Because I bet there's probably 35, 40 cars that park there when we have the concerts.
Yes, that'll go away.
Yeah, okay.
All right, additional questions for Mr. Baker? Is there?
I have a question, sorry.
Yep.
The paving will be just in front of the senior center? It won't extend any further?
Correct.
So will the drive be also?
The drive will be
coming
paved.
in?
Yes, it'll be paved.
And we do have plans for future growth, like all of this infrastructure we're putting in place is for future development. So at some point, we will pave the entire parking area in the senior center.
Correct.
Additional questions? Is there a motion?
I move to approve the additional parking
All right,
contract and the construction of the stormwater area.
Is there a second for this?
Second.
All right, motion by Commissioner Vandergriff, second by Commissioner Perno. Is there comments from the public? All right, City Manager, if you call the vote.
Commissioner Vandergriff?
Yeah, yes.
Commissioner Peebles?
Or no?
Perno?
Yes.
Commissioner Peebles?
Yes.
Commissioner Ward?
Yes.
Mayor Nelson?
Yes, motion passed. Discussion and possible approval to award the contract for the construction of the West 26th Street sidewalk to BCL Civil Contractors Incorporated in the amount of $422,000.
You skipped the agenda item. We're on number 15.
All right, thank you. I'm trying to read off this small phone here. All right, I should have got the bigger size. All right, discussion and possible approval to award the contract for construction of 8th Street sidewalk to BCL Civil Contractors Incorporated in the amount of $334,257.72.
Yes, this is the sidewalk on 8th Street from Iowa Avenue to Colorado Avenue. It'll be on the north side of the street.
All right, are there additional questions for Mr. Baker? All right, is there a motion for this?
Motion to approve the sidewalk on 8th Street from Iowa to
Colorado. It's where the road makes that huge dip down.
Yep.
Get a lot of people using it.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, motion by Commissioner Perno, second by Commissioner Peebles. Comments from the public? Yes, sir.
Connie Bashirs, 811 Louisiana Avenue. I would just like to thank the commission and thank Bobby for taking this project on. The sidewalk from Iowa to Colorado has been needed for a very long time. I think we had a fatality just to the east of that before, but right now people coming and going out of the country club, walking, running. In the mornings, they have to run and walk on the roadway there. I really appreciate that the commission is doing this. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Additional public commentary? All right, City Manager, if you call the vote.
Commissioner Parnell,
Yes.
Commissioner Peebles,
Yes.
Commissioner Vandegrift,
Yes.
Commissioner Ward,
Yes.
Mayor Nelson.
Yes, motion passed. Discussion and possible approval to award the contract for construction of the West 26th Street sidewalk to BCL Civil Contractors Incorporated in the amount of $422,352.25. Go ahead.
This is the section of sidewalk on 26th Street that goes from 77 to Jinks Avenue. Very busy pedestrian walkways.
And Commissioners, if you remember, this was actually a request from a resident because of all the traffic and kids coming backwards and forth to school. We love it when we can do things that residents have requested, and this really is a good project.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the project.
I'll second.
All right, motion by Commissioner Perno, second by Commissioner Peebles. Comments from the public? City Manager, if you call the vote.
Commissioner Parnell,
Yes.
Commissioner Peebles,
Yes.
Commissioner Ward,
Yes.
Commissioner Vandegrift,
Yes.
Mayor Nelson.
Yes, motion passed. All right, discussion and possible approval of the scope of services and agreement with Mott McDonald in the amount of $3,487,000 and an allowance up to $245,000 for the advanced wastewater treatment facility engineering services.
This is the long-awaited start of our wastewater treatment plant expansion. As you all know, in the previous years, we have committed to DEP that we would start design in fiscal year 2024. We are, and we did an RFQ that you all approved the city to move forward with negotiations with Mott McDonald. We have gone through our negotiations, and this is the summary of task order and fees associated with it so that we can begin work.
Questions for Mr. Lightfoot?
I do. Where it says that an allowance up to $245,000, I mean, that, in the contract, I read the contract, they already had a set amount for the engineering services, but is this saying that if they need to, it can go up?
Yes, ma'am. So the allowance is broken down in the chart, like task 1.1,
Yeah.
for example, the
Yeah.
permit renewal, like
Yeah.
for request for additional information. So if DEP comes, once we submit the permit and then DEP requests additional information, that is an allowance to cover whatever is additional needed. And each task has a pretty much same thing for that.
Okay.
All right, additional questions, Commissioner Peebles?
So basically, we're doing, the way, what I heard you say was that the DEP basically is making us do this.
Correct. Per state statute, once your wastewater plant gets to certain capacity, you have to start your design expansion. We have surpassed that, so it is time for us to start the expansion.
And that, we're looking at what, currently about $50 million project after this?
For the construction, yes, sir.
Yep. So I guess this is just kind of a reminder for everybody up here. We gotta start looking forward to what we can do to make that happen, because $50 million, that's more than well, it's just under our current budget, you know? So, of course, it'll be over a long period of time to pay it off, but I just encourage everyone to think of things that we can do to make that happen.
And part of that allowance that Commissioner Vandergrift had mentioned too is, you know, whatever funding options that the commission decides to pursue when the time comes, that Mott will also assist with that, like the SRF funding, if that's the route they go, or a bond, if that's the route they go. So there is allowances in there to help with that.
Right.
And we, city manager and I have been in contact with electeds over the past couple of years. So, for example, when Congressman Dunn came to town and looked at our new updates to our facilities, we also took him by the wastewater treatment plant so he could see, you know, what we needed. And at that time, we were estimating about 35 to 40, but we did throw out to say probably need about $50 million just to put that in his mind and the staff's mind is at the federal level to see if there's funding there because, and of course, we've talked with our state senator, Senator Trumbull, also State Rep Griffiths as well, about the need for this moving forward to see if there's some grants or other funding out there so that we won't have to, one, put all of the burden on us as the citizens, or two, have to, take on another $50 million within debt. So we'll say that is something that we've been forward thinking about, seeing this project coming up. That's why we're making a big push to try to get support for the headworks, so that if we could get some matching funds for that, then it'll help us on the back end with this $50 million project. But, $3 million is a drop in the bucket with that $50 million that's coming. So we'll keep working at that as well.
And I would sure hope that if it's required by the DEP, that they're going to be willing to help us. Well, the federal, well, at least somebody.
Yeah.
If you're going to put a requirement on us.
Yeah, usually they don't work that way. And we've brought that up as well. City manager and I brought that up in a meeting with Representative Griffiths, that when we're required to do these things, can there be some assistance in funding for that? For example, with the expansion on 390, we're required to move, but there was no assistance for that. So we brought that to his attention, saying, hey, when these requirements are made, is it possible that we can also receive some assistance for those requirements? Because it puts us, $500,000, $1 million in the hole for something that we didn't budget or plan for something that we didn't need per se, especially when it's coming from the state. So those are some things that we're asking about, but usually it doesn't work that way. But hopefully, something like that will change in the future.
It's an unfunded mandate. They're famous for that.
I work for the federal government, so
you should be
I am very familiar. Yes.
Mr. Lightfoot, as we look to the future, the $50 million project that we're speaking of, is that an expansion of the full wastewater plant, or is it possible one day that we might not have a wastewater plant on the water, and build one, in a more of an interior part of our town?
Relocating the wastewater plant would be well over $50 million. This is the $50 million that's talked about of this expansion is to go from a 2.5 million gallons a day plant to a 4.5 million gallons a day plant.
There will be a day that we exceed that.
I'm sorry?
There will be a day that we exceed that.
With the potential for Lynn Haven to continue to grow, yes. But there's not much more that you can grow to go above the 4.5 without growing north.
We've got a lot to think about for our future. So it's very expensive.
All right, is there a motion for this?
Yes, I'd like to make the motion that we approve the engineering.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, motion by Commissioner Perno, second by Commissioner Vandegrift. Comments from the public?
So I just have a question. For the benefit of my readers, if you don't get funding for this from another source, well, the 5-year plan is that the city will still be $13 million in debt. Is this going to add to that? And has this not been budgeted? I just want to clarify that.
For clarification, no, it has not been formally budgeted because the price has been varying over the years. And it depends on what our financing options are. So if it's $13 million in debt is where we are, and if we have to go into debt to get this, then we may not have a choice. As I've said before, we don't want a poop problem in Lynn Haven, and that's what it's going to cause. Or if we don't expand, then we cannot continue to do the building that we're doing in Lynn Haven as well, because our infrastructure won't be able to handle the new homes that are coming. For example, we're getting ready to vote or discuss in the next few moments about an apartment complex is bringing in another 134 homes. That's we may not want to be frank about it, but that's an additional 100 plus toilets that are going on that system. And if 3 people stay in there, that's 500 to 1,000 600 flushes a day that's going into our current system. And houses are being built all over. Apartment complexes are still going up. And so we don't want to get into the position where we're not able to continue to build, because then that would kill the growth of our city. And so it's something that is necessary. I will say, since I've been mayor, it is something that we have been discussing, which is one reason why our city manager behind the scenes has been very diligent to make sure that we have not increased our debt, so that we've been actually planning. If you want to say, have we been budgeting for this? The answer is yes and no. Have we put it in the budget to say we're budgeting for the wastewater treatment plant? No. Have we tightened our belt to make sure we're not using excessive funds so that we can be prepared when this moment comes? Yes. And so we've been going on since I've been mayor and a part of the commission, we've been going on a very streamlined budget. Because I do hear from the staff like, man, I wish I could get more money. I wish I could get more money, or let's roll this over to, the next fiscal year because we can't spend that money in this year, or we can't do that project this year because we have been planning for this. And so this is something that's been discussed since I've been here for the past 3 years. And I know even before then in talking with Bobby and others, that has been something that's been on the horizon for several years. So have we budgeted for it in a formal, adopted way? No. Have we been preparing for this day? Yes, we have been. We've just been hoping that we don't have to go and take a $50 million loan or a $50 million bond in the entirety of it in order to fund this project. So that's what we're hoping. So our team is looking at various ways that we can fund this without having to take on that entire amount and then putting that weight back on the city in regards to debt. So great question, though. All right, more public? Yes, sir.
I was going to ask this for the next one, but I'll bring it up now since we're talking about wastewater. At what point does the city of Lynn Haven reach its max capacity for development to the point where development can no longer occur because the wastewater treatment plant hasn't been built? We're talking about 154 units here. There's other ones going in, expansion plans for, phases over by North Bay and things like that. At what point does Lynn Haven go no more large development? And at what point do they go no more single house development because everything's maxed out?
So there are state statutes that require at DEP to basically put a moratorium on the permits for any city that exceeds their capacity. And we are not there quite yet. But if we ever get to that point before an expansion was done, that's exactly what DEP would do. Every development has to be modeled in our hydraulic water and sewer systems. And it's, recommendations are made. The next item that you all have to approve, the first submittal that they did, they had to upsize some water lines to be able to meet it as part of their development. So each development is modeled and hit into that. And then each development also has to submit a DEP permit for water and sewer that DEP reviews as well to our plant. So if it gets to where we cannot handle it, then DEP would not approve any permits until we expanded.
All right. Any other comment from the public? Yes, ma'am.
Arlene Harrison, 904 Michigan Avenue. I just have a question. I'm not familiar with scope. We're paying $3.5 million for a scope of services. I'm sure it's detailed out what a scope, what that includes, but it's kind of doesn't make sense to me. But it's obviously something that is long overdue to improve the infrastructure in the city, the water, this sewer system.
You're right.
I don't know how you're going to fund it, but we seriously need it.
I also was nervous when I saw that $3.4 million. But after I was reading the contract's very specific, and it covers from the very beginning to the very end. I mean, you can't even make the last payment to the contractors without Mott McDonald saying that everything is perfect. I mean, they're responsible for getting permits, and it's very detailed.
And along with the timeline that we talked about and the intensity of the contract, just so that everyone knows, the public, the planning phase of this is about 5 months. The design phase is approximately 15 months. And then it would be the bid and construction phase, which is about 39 months total between bidding, construction, and post-construction. So it is a very long process. It's not something that we're going to be bringing back in 2 months and saying, hey, we're ready to bid the wastewater plant. It is going to be a long process. And it will be a lot of work before us to get it done. And Mayor, for the cost too, and I'm going to steal this fact from our engineer, that back in 2016, when Panama City expanded their wastewater plant, it was approximately $4 a gallon for construction cost, and today it's about $25 a gallon in construction cost. So that puts in prospect the difference and the increase in cost over the past, 8 years now.
All right, thank you.
You said it's $25 a gallon?
$25 per gallon, yes, ma'am.
Should have got it done back in 2016. All right, with the motion, any other comments? All right, City Manager, if you call the vote.
Commissioner Perno?
Yes.
Commissioner Vandegrift?
Yes.
Commissioner Peebles?
Yes.
Commissioner Ward?
Yes.
Mayor Nelson?
Yes, motion passed. Our quasi-judicial public hearing open at 6:55 p.m. And if you'll swear in with the city attorney.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you'll give tonight is the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do. Harold? I'm waiting for the presentation.
It's on ours.
Here it is. I've got it. Thank you. Thanks, Harold. This is an application for a development order. The project name is Bedford Park Townhomes, and this is a quasi-judicial public hearing. The applicants are McRutherford 26 LLC. The owner is the same. The agent is Scott Rutherford, SCR and Associates, NWFL. He is here and the owner is here tonight. So they are both here to answer any questions that you have. The project engineer is Scott Rutherford, SCR and Associates, Northwest Florida. The reviewing engineer is Chris Short from Dewberry, so he reviews the plans, the stormwater for us. He is also here if you have any questions. And the reviewing traffic engineer is Vincent Spa, PE from Kimley Horn. If you will recall, we do have requirements now for developments to submit a traffic impact analysis. That analysis varies depending upon the size of the project, but because this is so large, it did kick in the full requirement for the traffic impact analysis, and then we send it to our reviewing engineers, Kimley Horn. Just as we do with the stormwater, we send that to Dewberry because they are all experts. Parcel number 11823-080-000 is located on East 26th Street, and the property size is approximately 31.16 acres. There are 3 future land use map categories located upon this parcel. 6.48 acres is mixed use, which allows for a density of up to 20 dwelling units per acre. There is 11.8 acres of high-density residential, which again would allow for up to 20 dwelling units per acre, and 12.88 acres of conservation. The conservation cannot be constructed upon, and we also have a 30-foot buffer setback. So the conservation is safe. They are not going for the full density that they could have under those 20 dwelling units per acre. They could have potentially up to 300 dwelling units on there if they wanted to put apartments on there. They're actually asking for 154 because they want to build townhomes. The only way they would get that full density is by going up with apartments. They don't want to do apartments. So the recommendations that we had, so obviously this was all reviewed and found to be in compliance with the city's Unified Land Development Code, stormwater requirements, and also state requirements. The city's contracted traffic engineering consultant does recommend, following his review of multiple submissions of the traffic impact analysis, that an eastbound turn lane at the intersection of East 26th Street and County Road 380 Northeast Avenue is needed to address a capacity deficiency
that would occur at that intersection with the addition of the project traffic. So it's already busy. With this traffic added to it, there would be a deficiency at build-out. He recommended that the turn lane should be at least 200 feet in length, with 150 feet of that being storage of cars and a 50-foot taper. The Planning Commission recommended, when it went before them, approval conditional upon the construction of the eastbound right turn lane at that intersection. This aerial shows you in red the property on East 26th Street. You can see Minnesota Avenue over there on the west. And can you see on Highway 389 where there's a circle? This point, there is, it's up on the wall. Follow it down. It doesn't really work on there very well. But where that circle is, that's the intersection where the failure, basically, in level of service and capacity would occur if the turn lane was not installed. This shows you the different land uses. So what you see here in the top corner, that the purple stripes, that's the mixed use. The brown is the high-density residential, and all of that green is conservation, which won't be touched. In your packets also was the plan. This is the site plan. You can see that there are 2 entrances on 26th Street. Then you've got 3 different stormwater ponds, and you can see that on the southwest, there are just a few, at the bottom, there are just a few units there. The way that this has been designed this way so as not to impact the wetlands. That's why it's such a strange shape. And then also included was the landscape buffer that's required along the East 26th Street. I did get some emails from some people wondering if there was going to be fencing separating them, and the hammocks are concerned about how this project will impact them. There will be fencing, perimeter fencing. There is not a thoroughfare through from this project through the hammocks, so people won't be able to cut through the hammocks to get to school. If you have any further questions, I'll be happy to answer them if I can, or we do have all the experts here tonight to help you.
All right, there's additional questions from the commission.
I may, I'm glad we have this map up, because I mentioned in the pre-meeting, I know it's on, the 2 entrances are on 26th Street. We're looking at 154 units. We already know what happens on Minnesota during school hours. It just looks like a lot of traffic's going to get dumped on that way, because people want to get to Highway 77. I know they're going to be fortifying or wanting to fortify 389, but I just think we're going to have a huge failure on that Minnesota road.
Would you like the traffic engineer to come up?
I would.
There.
You looked at you looked at Minnesota Avenue. Did you look at all hours of the day, or what hours did you use? And what was your calculation for the amount of vehicles at the capacity of 154 units?
Yeah, so just to be clear, the applicant had their own traffic engineer. We reviewed it on behalf of the city, but I can answer those questions nonetheless. The trip generation expected with 154 units of this townhome use, we refer to it as single-family attached sometimes, is 89 PM peak hour trips, 55 of them headed in and 34 headed out.
Did you say 8 to 9 p.m.?
89 during the PM peak hour. No, so
Okay.
sorry. That's the PM peak hour of the adjacent street traffic, which is generally sometime between 4 and 6 p.m.
So there was no morning study done?
The study, the city, we did not ask them to evaluate the AM peak hour. The PM peak hour is, generally speaking, the higher of the two, and from a trip generation standpoint, that would be the higher trip generation for the use itself as well.
Got it. Okay.
We can, to that end, as we, in this case, because it was not asked of them, we wouldn't hold it against them that they didn't study the AM peak hour. In the future, if that's something that the city is concerned about,
We've
we
been
can
down
make
that road before with Mill Bayou, and it was about school traffic. And on Minnesota Avenue holds a lot of school traffic for Mosley High School. I just think that we need to take a look at AM hours, and because I know that road already fails at that time anyway. But and I'd like to know. I mean, because if you look at the Jake's Landing and the two townhome communities that we've approved and have over there on 389 right now, I mean there's 2 cars in every driveway, and that's 2 cars per unit. And I think what they're ciphering is that it's probably only 1 car, because what I'm hearing is 89 out, 54 in, or whatever. And I just don't know if we're talking about the real world capacity that we're about to embark on approving. And I don't know, you guys probably got the same emails I got in the short amount of time from pre-meeting to meeting. There's a lot of people concerned about this. So
yeah, we've gotten some emails, some conversations.
I just want to bring up I just want to echo the sentiments of what what's been brought to us already. So, and with that, I'll leave it up to you guys after this.
Can you explain the math a little bit of the 0.94 and the 1.06? I'm assuming 1 is the level that you don't want to go over.
The VC ratios, yeah. So it's volume to capacity ratio, volume divided by capacity, right? And that capacity changes based on all of the different factors at an intersection. How many lanes are there? How many vehicles are there coming from each direction? This intersection in particular, that's kind of the subject of the concern with this additional turn lane that's being requested. There are left turn lanes along the mainline 389 approach. There are no turn lanes on the eastbound or westbound approaches, but those are stop controlled. So one lane shared by all movements. And so, yes, that in the background condition, which is they went out there and collected traffic counts at the existing intersection during that PM peak hour to understand how many trips are out there now. They applied a moderate growth rate to develop that to the future conditions that would occur regardless of the development, in I think it was a year or 2 years. And then that's where the volume to capacity ratio on that approach landed at 0.94 or 0.96, whichever it was, just under 1, right? And that's generally, you may still see some delays when you start getting up to 0.85, 0.9, but it's generally accepted that as long as you are under that 1.0 number, traffic will ultimately eventually find its gaps and be able to kind of disperse through the intersection. When you get over 1, it becomes a compounding problem, and those vehicles that aren't able to find the gaps, they get longer and longer delays, and you start to get where you're waiting 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes, and then you maybe are going to make an unsafe maneuver to try to get into the intersection. And we don't want that safety condition to occur. And so by the right turn lane that was actually initially proposed by the applicant and then later kind of retracted and said, well, we don't want to do that. That right turn lane, we just agreed that, yeah, that's a good idea. That will help disseminate some of that traffic, allow those right turns to separate from the lefts and the throughs, and ultimately allow the intersection to perform at an acceptable level.
Is that 0.94 with or without the turn lane?
Without.
Okay.
Additional questions for engineer?
Who actually owns 26th Street? Is that Lynn Haven, 26th Street, or is the county or Panama City own that? Is Lynn Haven? I don't know. I understand some of these traffic studies, how they look at the numbers, they read the things that they put out and everything, and it's just been so much development that's gone on 389, and there's one thing when you look at a traffic study and it tells you one thing, and then reality of what actually happens. And I think we've all kind of alluded to it at the pre-commission meeting. We just see, I don't want to say a disaster, but, you know, a cluster about to form there that's, it's going to create a lot of problems. And I don't know what else we can do legally. I don't know if we can increase the scope of the traffic study, something, you know. I don't know if a turn lane, I'm sure it's going to help, but I don't know. I don't think it's going to be enough, in my opinion.
Is this something that you all might consider tabling so we can think a little bit more about it?
I think we should table, or we should possibly do a workshop on it, you know, because I think there'll be a lot of citizens that want to come and express their opinions on it and whatnot. And because, you know, we got Cameron's Crossing coming out to 389 right there, but like I said, we still haven't talked about Minnesota Avenue and the time of day when when we're going to be putting people heading to 77 on it, you know. So I just think we're not fully given the best shade of information to the people who are going to be impacted by this until we get our heads around what we got to require from them.
Not only that, the property in the corner of Minnesota, I know.
This is our first dialogue with you, you know, so I think we really got more questions to ask, and definitely we want to hear from our citizens about it, so.
But yeah, I know that property on the corner of Minnesota, they've tried developing on that multiple times.
Sure.
Unfortunately, they weren't able to get the grant that they wanted.
But one day it will be.
And so, yeah, if that happens, that's going to be a huge problem, in my opinion, so.
I forgot about that property there on the corner. Yeah, so is there a motion for this?
Can I just ask one question? Multiple people reached out to me about the reuse water. And I know we've had problems in the past of running out of reuse water. From my understanding, this development, I think, plans on using reuse water, correct?
Correct, it does.
And I know the hammocks, they have a tie-in. I don't think they use it now, but they have a tie-in with their retention pond to use that for reuse water. Is that correct?
So the hammocks does have city reused water as well. And then back in the early 2000s, when St. Joe built the hammocks, they actually had installed a pump in their pond.
Right.
And they pull some of the stormwater pond down for irrigation, but they do use a good bit of the city's reused water as well. Now, per our.
So they do use some of the retention pond water for irrigation?
Yes, they do use some of that as well.
I know, something to think about. I know this is a little off topic, but whenever we go over the comprehensive plan, UNLDC, I don't know if we can make it a requirement for new developments when they do a retention pond to use that for irrigation, because not only that'll help decrease the load for reuse water, but it hopefully would help with stormwater too, because if you use the water from the retention pond and that'll have more space available for stormwater to go to. So just something to think about.
I like that idea. I do have one question too, just before, this is more so I think for Amanda, but so I was looking at the packet and they have not done a tree survey yet, I believe. What part of the process would they do that? I just know that, like, speaking of stormwater, we all know that how important trees are for preventing stormwater, so I'm just curious.
We would have asked for that. I can't remember. I've been so involved in the traffic. Skip and Scott are here. I don't have that information in the packet. Tree survey?
Yes, ma'am.
You remember how many trees?
I know we're doing a mitigation plan, the number of trees that were coming out. With me.
They have to pay for the trees when they pull their permits, and they'll pay their mitigation. Any tree that's over 8 inches
And actually, I believe there's also an option of replanting with a certain size tree at breast height, at maturity. That's what we've chosen to do. This area haven't lost so many trees during the storm. I'd rather replant and have some trees growing rather than paying to mitigate them.
And there are trees, I didn't give you the whole, I gave you the boundary for the landscape that we require, but we also have going down through the project, we have where trees are going to be planted around the stormwater ponds and things that aren't required by our boundaries, but that they are going to plant in because of the trees that are coming out. But I didn't put, because I didn't put all that in, that's not something that we usually, discuss as a tree mitigation with the development order. We take care of it. If you want us to start putting that in the packets, that's definitely something we can do. But we make the calculations of the amount of money, how many thousands they have to give us, or if they want to, then they can plant the equivalent number of inches in trees. And on our plans, we have where the trees are going to go.
If this goes to workshop, then we'll be glad to bring that plan for you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Additional questions? I know there was some discussion about tabling, some discussion about workshop, or just moving forward and approving as is. Is there a motion?
I'd like to just continue the discussion, just ask the rest of the commission how you feel about a workshop or tabling to the next meeting or another meeting. I mean, we don't want to workshop, because there's a lot of questions, so
Yeah, we did get several emails, I think even starting Friday. I started getting emails from the pre-commission meeting, so.
Just think that would be the fairest thing to everyone involved.
I'd be good with a workshop.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Are we going to require more additional traffic information?
But we go from there.
I think what Commissioner Perno is suggesting is that we have the workshop to discuss in more detail what we would like to see from the development or from the developer.
Yeah, that's one of the questions that out in my mind. But and you used to talk about trees, but are we talking about trees that are alive or dead? There's a lot of broken trees over there. So, that's that whole portion of land is the home of dead trees over there.
They don't have to mitigate for dead trees.
Don't.
No.
Damn shame, because there's a lot of them.
All right.
Workshop, you have to ask city manager if we can schedule one or how we want to do it.
She'll follow up with us on a date. She'll send out an email to all of us and have a date for that. So we'll continue this discussion via workshop. Is there anything formally we need to do, City Attorney, since we're in a quasi-judicial hearing?
You'll need to republish notice once you have the date of that workshop set.
Okay. I know, Zach, you had some comments on 18. Would you like to make your comments now? Let me come make them now. It's fine.
Everybody, Zach Detweiler, College Point, Lynn Haven. So really, first off, let me start by saying I am very grateful and very happy that you guys started taking a deeper look into everything. Going with the traffic studies and everything like that, it shows that you guys were listening to the people and everything like that. So commission, mayor, city manager, city staff, it is appreciated and is very helpful when we start looking at these things as a community. So thank you. Two things I wanted to bring up. One, obviously, we're talking about traffic. From the standpoint of evaluation, I don't think that we should just look at an aggregate number. I know statistics are easy to look at. One thing that we haven't talked about is road quality. So FDOT and pretty much every DOT in the country talks about road quality. So they give it an A, B, C, or D grade. I believe this road is a D, if not maybe a C. It has no shoulders. It is, I believe, only a 20-foot road surface. It's not very large. There's not a lot of space to maneuver if something goes wrong. Because of that quality of road, typically what that means is that you're likely to have road rage. You're likely to increase your accident rate. You're likely to have pedestrian accidents. And with the addition, obviously, of the rails trails right there, that only increases that. So when we're looking at these studies, or when you guys are looking at these studies, I want to bring up the fact that the road that they're going to be spilling out onto probably should have a quality look and not just a quantitative look. For this, I would recommend at least adding shoulders to the side of the road to make it so that if somebody pulls out, you can kind of do this before you're hitting a mailbox or something like that. Realistically, this road really needs to be expanded. There is going to be no way for all of these, 300 to 500 residents to go a quarter mile to the rails trails without either walking through snake-infested grass or riding on the roadway. And now you have pedestrians in the roadway on a 30, 35 mile an hour roadway. It is a safety hazard. So when we're looking at these types of studies, I just want to bring those types of items up because it really is long-term planning for the community, not just we build something and then we react later. Reaction is the worst way to go. In emergency management, it is just everyone cringes when you say let's react instead of be proactive. The other thing I wanted to bring up is the stormwater runoff. Pretty much the reason that St. Joe sold this property is because you have basically an X zone that is tall enough to build everything, and then like you guys talked about, the wetlands. If for whatever reason you have a storm event or a high rainfall event and it's overflowing, is the overflow going to go into the city sewer system and piped out and go to a catchment basin somewhere else? Or is it going to have to go through this conservation easement to get to the Lynn Haven Basin on the west end or the canal basin on the east side, of which was cleaned out and paid for by NRCS, which means that you guys have a requirement to maintain that. There's a lot of debris in between where this is going to be built and that canalway. So if that debris floods off because of a high rain event, you guys are going to be responsible for cleaning that out, or that grant funding could be pulled if you're still within that time period. So I just want to bring those types of things up so that you guys are looking at and reviewing those types of things as well, and not just this is what's in the scope of the plans. It checks check boxes. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Yes, sir.
This is my first time here, so I'm a little bit nervous. But my property will be affected by all this here.
To give us your name.
I'm
and
sorry, my
address.
name is Joe Rodriguez, and I live at 802 East 26th Street. So there's lot 800, 802, and 804. 4 acres, 2 acres, and 4 acres. I'm in the 2-acre tract. This particular piece of property covers the scope of all 3 properties there. My concern is that three things really, and it's been addressed already. The morning traffic report, I can assure you that when I get up at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning to put my trash out, traffic is already barreling through there. And I say that because I drive a little big brown truck and I go to these neighborhoods. And so you have Jake's, you have Mowat, you have Cameron's Crossing, you have Hawks Landing, and 26th Street is the pass-through. So the traffic flow in the morning is intense. My other concern is the amount of outflow coming out of these townhouses. Will there be, I think it's already been addressed, that there will be 2 exits out of that. Is that going to be enough? I think Commissioner Purnam stated that most in Jake's have 2 cars. So if you're talking about 154 times 2, you're talking 300 plus cars there coming out of that area. The other concern was just addressed also, and is the property, the DEP property, going to be part of that? And as somebody mentioned, is the overflow going to be, is that water going to be going into that DEP area? Because right now, as it stands, you have drainage ditches on Minnesota that when it rains, it floods, and it overflows onto the street. I spoke with PWC director today about that, and that's striping, because once the water comes, you can't see where your lane is. So that's a big concern there. My last concern would be is, although I have a Lynn Haven address, I don't have utilities there, water and sewer. So is that going to be accessible at that point, or is it going to be left as it is? Thank you.
All right, are we able to, hold on, I was going to try to, wait 1 second. Mr. Lightfoot, can you respond to his questions?
I'd rather wait till the workshop to confirm. I want to look back at the plans and see. I spoke with Mr. Rodriguez today about some of his concerns, but I'd rather wait till the workshop or get with him after and verify to make sure that I answer him correctly.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I really think somebody needs to look at the morning traffic, because my kids went to Mosley 10 years ago and that road was failing in the morning. It's not good. I think it's a little, I don't want to use the word dishonest, but I think it's kind of, just to look at it in the evening, I mean, that's kind of crazy. Now, another thing is the turn lane there, since that is a city road, I don't think anybody's considered what's the cost of that, and who's, I'm assuming the city's going to have to pay for that. So, okay, I just wanted to know what the cost would be and if it's a cost to the city.
All right, thank you. All right, so look for the public notice of the workshop. Quasi judicial hearing closes at 7:26 p.m. And public hearing, 7:26 p.m. Discussion and possible approval of plat approval. So do we not need to do that since we're postponing?
We can't do this. The development order has to be first.
All right, so closing public hearing at 7:26. All right, and now moving on to our resolution for our city mutual.
Okay. You want me to read it?
Yes, please.
Resolution number 2024-06432, a resolution of the City of Lynn Haven, Florida, adopting the State of Florida Division of Emergency Management statewide mutual aid agreement, authorizing the mayor to execute this agreement and providing an effective date.
All right, we discussed this on Friday. Is there any further questions for the city attorney? All right, is there a motion for this?
I move that we approve this resolution.
All right, motion by Commissioner Vandegrift, second by Commissioner Perno. Any comments from the public? All right, City Manager, if you call the vote.
Commissioner Vandegrift?
Yes.
Commissioner Perno?
Yes.
Commissioner Peebles?
Yes.
Commissioner Ward?
Yes.
Mayor Nelson?
Yes, meeting adjourned.